going to start the show, and I'm going to get started right after this.
Happy Monday, everybody. Here we are, it's Niners Coast to Coast with my guy, Ty. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. It's Monday. It's the start of a new week, right?
Indeed.
And when he gets here, we got Kyle Shanahan. Oh,
Coach Kyle.
We got Bryant, folks. Bryant's here with us today. So, we're here to talk about the contract extensions and how detrimental to the team they're going to be. I don't know if you heard the sarcasm. I hope you did. I think it's funny you're paying your quarterback, your team, you ain't going to be able to keep nobody. Folks, the cap goes up every year. Every year. Cap goes up. We're actually taking a big chunk of dead money on several players.
Yeah.
Which, last time I saw it was $85 million. I think it's actually more than that. I don't know the exact number. Right?
Yeah.
But either way, eat it now and forever hold our peace. Right?
Exactly. A smart business.
Uh-oh. I think Brian turned the stove on. I wonder if he ever got that fixed. Did we ever tell you about that?
Yeah, I know the story. The power and the stove knob.
And I witnessed it when I was there for the game in 2023. Mm-hmm. I witnessed it firsthand. It is 100% true. It's just weird. You turn the stove on, all of a sudden you lose power, you turn the stove on, then it turns on. It's like, make this make sense, somebody. Right. I do a lot of electrical work at my work, and I don't. There's no way. I can't make that make sense.
Yeah.
So. Uh-oh. Share your referral. Why do they do that? So, Brock Purdy, we talked about George Kittle already. He got paid. It's a team-friendly deal.
Yeah.
He's going to be around, right? Then, the next guy to get his contract. Now, shout out to Steve-O, right? Because he actually asked on one of the Wednesday shows, what happens first? Bryant, he's back, baby.
He's back.
What up, Bryant?
There he is. What's up, brother? Can you hear us?
I see movement.
He's moving, yeah. But can he hear us?
We can see
audio is a big part.
Well, we'll see. Oh, I can hear something. I hear something,
Yeah,
Brian.
there's something ticking there. Yeah.
So, I heard Tony.
Yeah. Volume is there.
Turn that off because we don't need that.
There you go. We can hear you.
Yep.
Well, we hear the wife unit.
Mic's on.
I was thinking about leaving the sweater I was working in today. It says Camp Chef.
Camp Chef.
And I was camp counselor for teenagers back in the day.
Uh-huh.
Daughter's way older than that. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was fun though. It was fun. I'm not gonna lie.
It was.
But I was the camp chef. That's what my sweater said. The hoodie.
Right.
So. But yeah. So, anyways, George Kittle is actually a team friendly deal.
Yep.
So his contract not detrimental to the squad. Brock Purdy. I was talking about it. Brock Purdy signs, and I hit 200 subscribers. It all happened within 24 hours. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I'm not saying it had anything to do with it, folks. I'm not. But Steve-O actually asked on a Wednesday show, what happens first? Me hit 200 or Brock Purdy sign his contract extension? I said Brock Purdy sign his contract extension. Because, I was stuck at like 194 for months.
Yeah,
so I figured
forever.
the 198 was the new 94.
Exactly.
It's like, but yeah. So, but anyway, so on the same day, it was like that morning I woke up, I looked at I looked and I was like, hey, 201? No. Like, no, that didn't happen. And then the news broke. Brock Purdy signed his contract. I was like, crap. So I did look, I texted Steve-O and told him I was wrong, bro. I hit 200 like right before he did.
Let him know.
Right before he signed his contract. So it's just funny that it all happened that way. But we got the gang in the house.
What's up, Jess?
East Coast Red and Gold. What's going on, Jess? Tommy, what's up, buddy? Hey, we are not Seattle Seahawks. Oh, where'd you go, Bryant? He'll be back. It's been a minute since he's been on, so maybe he's just ironing out some things, right?
Technical issues. You know how it goes.
But yeah, we are not Seattle Seahawks, Tommy. Like, Levi, what's cracking, buddy? I think he is making a statement. He signed, like, George Kittle keeps on this trajectory. He's going to be one of those Hall of Fame tight ends, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not there already, right?
Yeah. The numbers are working out that way.
So then we have All-Pro Fred. You ready, Bryant? Oh. There. That's the symbol we're used to seeing right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's him.
But, then we got All-Pro Fred. We want him to be a Niner for life. Sign him for 3 years, right? And we got Brock Purdy. Now, it's like no one else. Bosa's signed. Ayuk is still under contract, although I'm not planning on seeing him much this next season.
Nope. He's under contract for the foreseeable future. So,
and it's just like, there it is. No one else is coming up. No one else is due just yet. Maybe a few years from now, after some of these big contracts expire and are gone, which a lot of that will happen at the end of this season, right?
Yeah, most likely.
But, and then all of a sudden we're not in cap hell and we can keep a Pooney, right? Yeah. We can keep these guys.
Yeah. The money would be allocated elsewhere.
That's exactly it.
So that's all it
is.
And
you never know about Pooney. I mean, he played on the left side. He played on the right side. Could it be Trent Williams' replacement? You never know. He was a tackle in college.
Yeah.
It was.
We'll see. We'll cross that road when we come to it.
Yes. It's been a minute since he's been on. He's just ironing out some stuff. He'll be all right.
Yeah. He'll jump on. After
Debo and Ayuk, I feel like there were people saying the organization was cheap and stingy. Now, honestly, I kind of look at it like this: like the Debo and Ayuk, them are diva wide receivers right there. Okay.
Yep.
So them being loud and obnoxious about their contract extension just made them look like they were immature.
That's all it is to it.
I'm wrong. You can tell me I'm wrong. I know I'm not. But right?
Yeah.
So I think that had a lot to do with maturity issues. Like Brock Purdy, all you heard was speculation and reports. Oh, the Niners offered him $45 million. Okay, where'd you get that from?
Yeah.
Like, did you go talk to your neighbor's dog and he told you that? Like, what's your source? Right? We're always talking about that.
Exactly. What's that source?
And it's just that's it. The Niners never made him that offer. I was listening to Terradome earlier, and he actually said, speaking of Terradome, What's cracking?
He's in the house. What up, TD? Don't.
Got Don Dotson in the building. What's going on,
Don.
Don? How's it going? Yeah, don't forget, subscribing's free, folks. It's free.
Hit that button.
Doesn't cost you a thing. I'm not on every day, 10 times a day. I won't be filling up your inbox. I really won't be annoying. Oh, I just made Lassie mad. Shout out to Damian Lee, my guy in Texas. But yeah, I was listening to Terror Dome earlier, and he's like, he made a point about Brock being the 262nd pick, right?
Yep.
I don't think I even I was driving. I was at work and driving, so I don't think I got the chance to actually comment in on that stream, Terror Dome, but I was watching. But, 262nd pick. So what if he signed for $262 million? I actually, that made me chuckle. That's kind of like, maybe that was their first offer. You never know, right?
You never know.
It all starts out with getting the guaranteed money hashed out. Then you move on. Getting the guaranteed money hashed out. Then you throw in the incentives and all the other crap to make it worth X amount a year, the $53 million a year. If you factor in his fourth year, which is he's making 5.3 something million.
Yeah, this year. Yeah.
So factor that in. So 6 years at around 45 million a year.
Yep.
That's really
Bargain.
not. It is. It's not a bad contract for a quarterback. You got guys like Josh Allen making 55. For some reason, the guy that I think has 2 playoff wins in his kind of long NFL tenure, and Dak Prescott signed for 60, although he did restructure that contract. So does that even count anymore? I don't think it counts.
Who knows?
But that's the Dallas Cowboys. You can't.
That's right. That's their issues.
That's brainless issues here. So you can't use them for comparisons.
Right.
There was actually a report floating around while we're talking about contract extensions that they were talking to Micah Parsons about his extension, and they're talking like it was somewhere north of 300 million. I'm going, say what? And Jerry Jones actually described him as as Lawrence Taylor. It's like, no. I
haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either. I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't know what universe Jerry Jones is in.
Yeah.
If he's in
I'm old enough to have watched LT play. He ain't no LT.
I don't know. Right?
BC, you with us, man? Everything good?
I hope so.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I don't know what happened to the settings, but it's been a little while. We definitely had to dust off the keyboard.
Well, we heard Tony in there earlier helping you. So, it's all good. But what's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. Been watching and trying to keep up with the 49er news as much as possible. I don't know how I feel necessarily about the Yorks having to sell a portion of the team to potentially have to pay for Brock Purdy's contract. Do I think he got overpaid? Do I think he got what he deserved? That doesn't really matter. We don't have a Super Bowl yet, and I want a Super Bowl, and that's all that matters. So if that's what they think is going to happen, then try to keep the nucleus together.
Exactly.
We had a lot of departures on the defense, but some of those guys, like Shavarius Ward, he had issues with his family, and pray for him and his family. But if he's in a better place, that's fine. But last year he he had to leave our team. The guys that went to the Denver Broncos, okay, that's fine. Hufunga had one of the best hairs on our team. Head and Shoulders does a lot of great things for people, but he was one of those like homegrown guys that we wanted to try to keep on our team, but you can't always keep players. But with them resigning like Fred Warner and George Kittle, that's positive. Those are captains. Those are faces of the franchise. McCaffrey's going to still be here with us. Brock Purdy finally got deserving of what he played for. Because honestly, you're the starting quarterback and you did really well for the team for several years. You do deserve to get paid well. And then the no trade clause, that's really cool. Everybody, can be excited to go buy a jersey. He's going to be here for a while. That makes everybody feel good. So, yeah, I'm doing really good. They signed some kickers. I think they signed 2 kickers to compete with Jake Moody. And I think that's just to kind of push for him to do better. I think he's going to be the guy moving forward, whether or not everybody's in favor of that or they're in the mood to hear that. But yeah, and Miss Wachowski, he's
Big Mitch.
Oh man, I really hope the back pains and stuff like that go and change. But we do have a new special team, and I think head coach. So I'm really excited about that. Bringing back Saleh, that's really good to hear because this is something to think about too. It's like if you got a really good coach or a really good teacher, you necessarily have to have, or a cook, right? Maybe a cook is a great example. You have to have the best ingredients because a good cook could make something out of nothing, right? And I'm talking about
he can.
Top ramen and like what is that, imitation crab? Like trying to make something out of nothing, right? So
just say no to imitation crab,
right? So bringing back Saleh and retaining some of our defense, like Fred Warner is the captain of the team or the face of the defense, right? He played with a broken foot like almost all season last year. So I feel really good about our team. I'm really excited to have Mac Jones on our team. I know some people might laugh at that, but it's just funny before we drafted Trey Lance or traded up, we tried to acquire Sam Darnold. We finally got Sam Darnold. Then we were interested in Mac Jones. We were also interested in Aaron Rodgers. Those have been things that we have went back and forth with trying to acquire. But for them to finally get, Mac Jones after this many years, I think he's going to probably have a really good chance to resurrect his career and maybe pull like what Sam Darnold did. And we might be able to actually flip him next year to another team that needs a good quarterback, like what we did with Sam Darnold. I am really excited about the schedule coming out. Guys, we play Sam Darnold the week of, week 1.
Week 1.
That's going to be exciting. That's going to be really exciting. So, a lot of people are predicting us to go 4-0 before we get too far into the season. So how do you guys feel?
Oh, we're going 20-0. Excuse me, fuck all that. The team is refreshed. The team is refreshed. We got better coaching in the other 2 areas of the team, right? Defense and special teams. We still have our pillars there, right? If you think of the pillars of the 49ers, they're all there, except for Dre Greenlaw. He moved on, but you still got All-Pro Fred, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, CMC. I mean, the names are there. So you got those. You got these exciting young players. This team has worked with exciting young players before and know how to get there. So that pedigree to get back on top faster is even better in place, right? So they'll show that last year was just a fluke. A whole lot of things happened. This year they'll be back. So it's a very exciting time for the 49ers. David, what do you think?
How you feel,
Honestly,
David?
honestly, so like 2019, we had a bunch of new faces, right? There was some guy that picked us to win 3 games.
Yeah, you remember that
I
guy?
won't mention any names.
Yeah,
He was wrong though. But there weren't many people that were actually picking us to win anything that year, and we came out right. Like this next season, everyone's going, they got so many new faces. Okay, does this sound familiar? That young and hungry 2019 team, does this sound familiar?
Yeah.
So, and because of all the new faces, I'm kind of looking at honestly, I think it's 11, maybe more wins because of all the new faces, and it's going to take the team time to get some chemistry going on. Unless by some miracle it happens right off the bat, and that I've seen that happen. So at the same time, it's not it can't. It just seems like sometimes it takes this team 5-6 weeks to get going, right? So that's why I'm saying 11 could be more. That's why that's what's in my mind. I mean, with this strength of schedule, it should be more than 11. Right? It should be. But that's just how I'm looking at it. It's all the new faces, all the people that need to integrate in and, get chemistry going on with who's already here and what we're already doing.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Salay back.
Yep.
So that alone's 11, and depending on how everything else folds out, like CMC, if he ends up playing most of the season, hopefully they don't leave him out there every down. They make him come out of the game and get some of these younger guys in there because, long-term wise, he's important to the team, right? So, you need him down the stretch. Let's give him some breaks. Hopefully he's not overworking himself this season because we don't need that. Whatever happened last year.
Yeah. Take it a little easier this off season.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know, once you get older, you got to train different. Your body responds different, especially when you're coming off of injuries, right? You got to switch it up a bit. So it's just all about him training smarter, listening to his body, and focusing more on his recovery so that he lasts longer. And David, like you mentioned, and we talked about it here on the show, like in season 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they got to start resting him. They got to save him from himself. We know he doesn't want to leave the game, but as the coach, you get to say you off the field and you take him off. And they got to start putting their foot down and making that happen.
Well, I think that's where they need to expand the offense a little bit because we have a fullback. So you need to have, CMC be a decoy every once in a while where he's still on the field and he's a warrior. He doesn't want to come off the field.
And they do that.
But we need to see more of that where, maybe Juice gets the ball a little bit more, or maybe we bring in somebody else who runs fullback a little bit. I also think they need to use Juice as a tight end a little bit more. He has good hands, but he's not being utilized as much. Last year, where they criticized him a lot, where he wasn't blocking as well, or Debo and him weren't, I don't think that's necessarily the case either. Because I don't want to say either one of them was all in, but we've heard Debo say if he wasn't getting the ball, he wasn't running as hard as he should be, right?
Well, we know
locked in.
We saw that on film.
Locked in, Bryant. Yeah. Locked in.
I don't want to say that's what Juice does, but we know he gets paid a lot. He's restructured his contract a lot. He's a fan favorite. He came back. He's been a team captain. A lot of the teams don't use a fullback anymore. It's a dying breed. But you can also use them as blocking on the offensive line, which they do. They can also use them. And one thing I can't explain, maybe you guys can explain it to me, how we don't have a very good red zone rushing attack. I mean, when we're on the 1 yard line or 2 yard line, we should be able to punch the ball in. And it seems like we haven't been able to do that for years. And maybe as far back as Frank Gore. But I know we have a couple good running backs. I'm not sure if they believe in Brendo. I do want to ask you guys a couple of different questions. I want to know what you guys think about Tyreek Owens. Is he going to make the team? What do you think about Ricky Pearson going from number 14 to number 1? Is he going to be the number 1?
Pearsall.
Right. And I also I kind of just want to know who you guys think is the biggest improvement on defense, or like the best right now prospect that we drafted. So those are a bunch of questions, but I want to hear both you guys because it's been a little while. I'm sorry I haven't been here. For people who don't know, it's my work schedule, and I try to get back here as soon as I can. It is coast to coast, and I appreciate being part of here.
Exactly. All right. All right. You mentioned the biggest surprise. I got to do it in reverse. Biggest surprise on defense or most exciting. That's a good one. There's so many good guys. Okay, so for me, I'm going to go with Michael Williams. I've been wanting a true, like, real defensive end on this team for a while. Like, not just like a situational pass rusher or a guy who just stays in on base downs for the runs, a real 3-down defensive end. I feel he's that, right? He can do a lot. And if they develop him the way he should have great impact and get better as the season goes on. So I'm very excited for him. We finally got a real guy opposite Bosa, and he's not a 1-year rental at that. He's with us for 4 years at least. We know that. So that's exciting there. Ricky Pearsall changing numbers. He wore number 1 in college. It's just these guys love their college numbers. I don't think he'll be wide receiver number 1. That's Jawan Jennings' job to start the season. We saw it last year. He was wide receiver number 1. I don't see Kyle changing that. I think he'll call Pearsall's number a lot, though, because we saw at the end of last season, he did lean on Ricky. Finally, he called his number, got him some plays, got him going, and he produced. So it's exciting. It's going to be exciting to see him take that leap up in year 2, which I'm hoping he does. And what was the first question? My God, I forgot.
Who was the best, or like who is your like most optimistic, or who are you really excited that we drafted this year?
Oh, I answered that one. That was Williams. You did 3 things. You did that, Pearsall, and what was the other one?
I'm sorry. I'm just super excited to be back. I can't.
It's all right, man.
I should have wrote down notes. I think with all the departures that we had, people got really, really.
People got spooked and scared.
Yeah. Maybe my question was: is it really? Are you guys really upset about them having to sell a portion of the team to pay for Brock Purdy?
Oh, you said that. I don't think it's that. Jay got plenty of money. Let's not get it twisted.
But now
he got plenty of money. I don't think he had to sell the team to pay for Brock. I think it was just financial reasons. We see like they do this all the time. And like you sell 6%, you still own 94%. That 6% really isn't, you losing ownership.
But to own the team and be one name, that family that owns the team for 40 years, and then to have to sell a percentage of the team, they can always recover it. But that sounds really. Do you think they're stretching themselves too thin with their soccer team?
No, that's business.
Because they have to have so much money, right? They have to have so much money in their own pocket to put into escrow to cover these players' agreements, these contracts, right? So even if they are, just all in with the 49ers, but they're not all in with the 49ers, they have to spread some of their money to this European soccer league. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying this is if you're all 49ers, you're all 49ers. But if you're all Yorks and you like the 49ers and their soccer team, hey, okay, that's more power to you. You can be fans of whatever you want to be. But again, to sell a portion of the team because you have to pay for several players' contracts, man. I mean, I guess I don't know. Like, and honestly, to get your guys' opinion too, like Brock Purdy's contract isn't so horrible. To begin with, he was Mr. Irrelevant. He got paid what, under $100,000 a year. I mean, our kicker, right? The one that I love, but everybody hates, right? And it's your choice to hate. You can be in your own mood, right? Or be moody about it. But the kicker gets paid more than Brock Purdy, I mean, for the last couple of years. So it's like, I mean, honestly, like, to have the players drafted and then their contracts come in, it is what it is. But when a player does overperform, they deserve to get paid. And Brock Purdy, whether or not other people stay, if he was on a different team, maybe it's a system quarterback, but when he's on our team with Kyle Shanahan, he's done what Kyle Shanahan has asked, and he's done really well. So if you say, okay, let's see him on like the Packers or let's see him on Atlanta and see what he does. Well, that's a different offense. I'm not saying he won't perform, but that's a different. These guys go together right now, peanut butter and jelly. So I'm really, really excited that they are able to keep it together. And yeah, if we could have signed Aaron Rodgers, I would be super excited, but we didn't go that direction. If we would have signed Tom Brady a couple years ago, I would have been really excited, but we didn't go that direction. So if we would have signed Peyton Manning a couple of years ago, which we tried to do as well, all three quarterbacks we've tried, we haven't been successful. So either the Yorks are not able to bid big enough, or because I think the Niners have been trying for the last couple of years to get a legitimate quarterback, even if he only has a couple more years left in him. We're trying to get a Super Bowl. And that's what I would want to know is, like, if we won the Super Bowl right now, how much money would that make the Yorks?
Merchandise. Sorry. Merchandise and everything else, I truly have no idea. But either way, the 49ers are profitable.
Yeah.
Maybe now just maybe, because I've heard this that York wants a cricket team.
Oh boy.
I've heard that Jed York wants a cricket team. Maybe that's why he sold 6% of the 49ers. So he could buy, I mean, I know he bought a second soccer team, but maybe he wants to go buy a cricket team, right? And it's fine. It's his money. He can do with it what he wants, right?
Yeah.
But, at this point, it's kind of time to just I think he might have like had a heart-to-heart with John Lynch and Kyle and said, look, guys, like, you haven't got it done yet. Look at all these players we got. They're not getting younger. And then all of a sudden, here comes John Lynch saying we need to get younger and faster. That's what he said, right? Younger and faster. And we've done just that the last 2 years. We've gotten younger and faster.
Mm-hmm.
Our wide receiver core went from, like a 4.48 guy was the fastest guy in it to we got a 4.37 guy that we drafted this year, a 4.38 guy we drafted last year.
Yep.
4.41 guy in Ricky Purcell. So, our wide receiver core alone has some speed in it, Then the defensive backs we got, like, Stout, he's around a 4.4 guy.
Yep.
The safety is a 4.37. I mean, team speed wise, speed
kills.
We've gotten faster. To answer the question about who am I most excited about? CJ West.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Good choice.
you know, there's
like
some varying reports on his weight, 316 to 332. He's going to be somewhere in that range. Hit the weight room, probably be 323, right?
Exactly.
But he's short. He's stout. He's one of those guys that gets the low pad level. He gets leverage.
He's got
and
leverage.
He hates quarterbacks. So I like that. He hates quarterbacks.
Yeah. That's all that counts. He's going to be eating it up in the trenches, right?
That's exactly it. You know, Malik Collins, yeah, he was the earlier pick, but I like the guy that was taken later.
Yeah.
I like him, you know. And honestly, I think a sleeper in this draft, and this is something like a lot of people had dogged, they used the term reach, right, on Nick Martin, the linebacker from Oklahoma State, right? A lot of people use the term reach. Okay, he is 6 pounds away from being what Dre Greenlaw is physically. Speed, size. His arms are actually a little bit longer than Dre Greenlaw's. I don't know if that matters. A gator still gets its prey, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, like speed wise, he's the same. Height, he's the same. Arms are a little longer. 6 pounds lighter. You know, so he could make that up just hitting the weight room over the summer.
Exactly.
So sorry, Dave. So sorry. My other question that we didn't address that I just remembered, and David, you can add to it, and then we'll go back to Ty. Is Tyreek Owens going to make our?
Oh, that's what it was. Yes.
Now I honestly don't think so. With the guys we've drafted last year and this year, Juwan Jennings, Demarcus Robinson, he might be the guy on the out. Although Demarcus Robinson is not going to be starting the season with us, he's going to be suspended, right?
That's why I think he makes the team. I'm sorry, but I think he makes the team because of a loophole. You know, one of those gray areas.
Mm-hmm. There is a possibility from the Demarcus Robinson suspension.
Because we put him on his practice squad. Sorry, Ty, but because if we put him on the practice squad, we're going to lose him, just like what happened last year, right? Somebody's going to swoop on him. And Harbaugh tried to take him last year, and for whatever reason, he's not a Charger. So I think his heart lies in San Francisco. We play in San Francisco.
Did he really? That's not the way it works. If Harbaugh claimed him, he would have went there.
But he was on
they would have had to put him on the 53.
He was on the
That's what I'm saying.
He was on the Chargers last year. That's what I'm saying. Like, we lost him last year, right? He went to San Diego.
He was? I didn't hear that. I thought he was on our practice squad all year.
No, Tyreek went to San Diego last year.
Okay.
So, I could be wrong, but that's what I understood. We had him on our team, and then he went to San Diego, Los Angeles. He went to the Chargers, and he didn't work out down there. So now he's back, and he's trying out with our team again. This is like our second opportunity to say, hey, yeah, we like you, dude. And that's why I think he's going to push for a starting position, not a starting position, but a 53-man roster position.
I don't think he makes it.
You don't think so? Okay.
Nope. He is way low on the totem pole. We got our top guys. We just drafted 2 guys this year.
Mm-hmm.
One we know, speedy route running receiver, which is the transition of receiver that we're going to now. The other guy's the same, but he's more of a kick returner. We know we're putting the emphasis on special teams, kick returning this year. I can see him making the roster.
But is
Tyreek Owens the odd man out?
But is a kick returner, right, necessarily designated as a wide receiver? You can kind of like slide them to, special teams, So that's what I'm saying. Like maybe Tyreek, he slips in as a, gray area player.
I don't know who he slips in over.
I think
right.
I think he has a chance of being the 6th wide receiver because right now, we drafted between the last 2 years, we drafted 4 guys.
Right. You got those 4.
I think yeah, and he has a chance of slipping in as the 6th wide receiver because we do have Juwan Jennings. Brandon Ayuk ain't going to be ready to start the season.
Right. IR. Right. Got you.
And then we got Demarcus Robinson being on suspension.
Right. But
So
that's only how many
Tariq
games?
He does have
4?
a chance to slip in on the roster here.
you
He
think
does.
But
starts this year?
remember, they also got that undrafted free agent. I can't remember his name right now. 6'4", runs a 440. They are raving about him from rookie minicamp. They didn't rave about Tariq Owens last year, but they're raving about this new kid.
Oh
So there's
boy.
competition even on that down at the bottom level.
Now, Tommy, it really depends. If you're a linebacker, yes, I want to see a long arm Otis because then you can reach out and make that tackle. Oh. Sorry, I had to say it. But
how do you guys feel about Grando? Is Grando going to make the team, or are we going to try to trade him?
He makes the team.
There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk that they're going to trade him. But if you think about Grando, he's a wide receiver turned running back, right? So he's literally a weapon. You know, he's not just a guy that can run the ball. And, you know, he did have some decent numbers last year, although, you know, I rewatched all those games, and some of his runs, it's just like he didn't quite see the hole, didn't quite, you know, it was an experience thing because he really only started for 1 year. He was a backup. Then he went to, he transferred colleges and started for a year. So it was an experience thing. But him being a former wide receiver, that makes him valuable catching balls from the backfield, doesn't it? Right?
Yep. And we saw those wide receiver skills on display.
25 and running a 4.33. That's just like, you know, that's special right there. So, yeah, and we have heard, you know, rumors. These guys picked up, you know, Jordan James from Oregon. And, you know, that puts Garendo on the block, does it? Because I don't think it does. He's a cheap rookie for the next 3 years. He's still on his rookie deal.
Exactly.
You know, the thing about Jordan James is he didn't fumble.
Yeah.
And hit yards after contact, another form of yak, right? Yards after contact. He is a beast. He's more than likely going to be our short yardage guy. We need a tough 2-3 yards. He's going to come in and get us the tough 2-3 yards. You know, we have, you know, Grando go out there and run a jet sweep, do the gadget plays. Maybe that's what Grando's. Maybe that's Grando's niche, right?
Be a regular running back. No niche. We've seen how our running backs get injured. We need them to be ready for any play at any time. Forget the gadget stuff. They need to be able to do everything.
I really wish we could kind of go to like a 1-2-3 again approach like we did a few years ago when we had Jimmy G and we were running 15 minutes off a quarter and we were grinding the ball. We had our big Mostert who could just, you know, home run hit it. We had Kevin Coleman who could pound the hard yards. You know, we had Bryant who could bounce in and out and do different things, and he could be a home run hitter. I really wish we could get back to that where we had like a three-headed, but because the CMC being such a grinder and a warrior, we have to keep him on the field somehow, but also get the ball to other players. And I think with maybe Olabini Debo this year, it's one more mouth less to feed, and we can target Kittle a little bit more because when the ball goes to Kittle in the middle, good things happen. When CMC gets the ball and it's not every other play, he does really good. I feel like we have to figure out a way. And Jennings on third down, right? It's third and Jawan, right?
Every down in Jawan.
Well, every down now, right? But and it's really sad because what happened with Brandon Ayuk, I feel like he wanted to leave the team. I feel like he might have had issues with the coaching staff or management or whatever. I feel like there was contract disputes, and then he gets hurt after he gets paid. And will he ever be the same? It's kind of hard to say. I don't feel like he'll play this season. Suffering the significant knee injury, I don't count him back this season at all. So, guys, Brandon Ayuk, I don't hate the guy. When Ayuk's on fire. When remember when he would catch the ball and we get big plays and stuff. I love every player on the team, but sometimes I feel like we do overplay players to try to retain them or keep them happy. And we've had this for the longest time. We've seemed to draft. We love drafting IR players who are on IR. And since Trent Baalke left, it seems to have died down just a little bit, but not so much.
A lot of bit.
But not so much because we still have done it. We've drafted players that are like all potential players. And Drake Jackson, right? He was our defensive lineman that we just cut, right? And because he wasn't built to man speed, or he needed to get in the weight room more, and then he ends up getting hurt. And it's just I feel like there's been some players, and that's the cost of doing business. I get it. But I'm just a big fan of this team. This season seems like we're going to do really well because of the strength of schedule. I don't see any team other than Seattle or the Rams really being scary to us on this schedule. So I feel like we're going to do really well. With the Super Bowl being in Santa Clara, I feel like our cards are stacked in favor of us. But we have to do good. And that's why I think originally I asked you guys, if you have a really good chef, really good coach, right? Do you necessarily have to have the best players or the best ingredients to put out a good team or a good meal? And I think the Niners have a good opportunity to do both. I really do. I think this year it might be one of those surprising years for us too, because before on paper we've had the best team. Well, we might not have the best team this year, but we could be one of those and I don't like to say Cinderella stories, but we could be one of those teams that get into the playoffs and you don't expect it because everybody clicks. Call me a homer. I don't care. That's my thought.
Nothing wrong with it. I don't know why anyone would not expect us to make the playoffs, though.
If we don't go 4-0 to start the season, there's something wrong, right?
That's like that every season, though. That's every season.
I don't know. Some seasons are definitely harder. We have a 4th place schedule this year, and our 5th
schedule doesn't matter. Schedule doesn't matter. You still got to beat the team in front of you. It doesn't matter. You look at last year's schedule. I don't know what the hell that schedule was, but every team on our schedule, we should have beat them, and we didn't. You still got to beat the team in front of you. There's no team on our schedule last year that we feared, that we were inferior to, that was a better team than ours.
I agree, but when you start eliminating players, key roster players, and that's what happened to us, you can't really say, okay, we're the same team. When you take away CMC, or you take a George Kittle away, or Trent Williams, or you take a Brock Purdy away, and there was times in last year's season, Brock Purdy couldn't throw the ball. He couldn't throw the ball. We've seen it at practice.
When was that? When was that? I never saw that.
He pulled himself out of the schedule, out of the season as a starter, and that's why we got to see the backup come in, and then they downplayed it, and he came back in, but he wasn't the same player. And it's one of those things. It's like we were beat up pretty bad, and maybe losing the Super Bowl was a morale change, or just but the team was a lot more hurt than it was. And for CMC to try to come in to the season, and you look at the Super Bowl, CMC was injured in the Super Bowl. Also, George Kittle was injured in the Super Bowl. A lot of these players came back into the offseason and they weren't healthy. And with Trent Williams, I don't know. I'm scared to hear he's going to retire before the season starts. He's got that, what do you want to call it? A stanky leg? I mean, his right leg, left leg, right?
He got some type of issue. Yeah.
He's got some. So are we going to be confident to see him a full 20 games, like you were saying, 20-0 or 21-0? I would love to. I want to give him that Super Bowl ring and let him go out, and retire. But I don't. With all the upgrades on the offensive line, these no-name players, and they're not necessarily no-name players, but they're starters from other teams. I feel like we're we could potentially be seeing a Trent Williams departure, and that's okay if we have a full healthy CMC, if we have a full healthy Brock Purdy. But if his elbow is rubber and it's not healthy, and CMC's Achilles are spongy, then come on, we got Trent Williams, we have George Kittle, we have Fred Warner, and Brock Purdy right now, CMC to depend on. And if those guys aren't ready to go, this season it's going to be sad. A Super Bowl in our backyard, and we're not going to be available.
The only player that's questionable that you just named is Trent Williams. Everybody else is healthy. John Lynch said Trent was ready to go and fine, but we haven't really seen him yet. But everyone else we've heard is healthy and fine and doing well.
Fred Warner is such a warrior. Broken foot, like more than half the year last year playing through that.
Yep.
I know how it is to work through an injury. That's not fun at all. George Kittle, broken ribs, broken shoulder. You
He's
can
always
go
breaking
more. Yeah, there's always something. But he's supposed to be completely healthy. Again, like you said, where is Mr. Trent Williams? Where is the silverback? Is he moving to Florida? Is he staying there? We don't know yet. But I feel like everything's just mum's the word. I think the whole Debo is his guy. I think Brandon Ayuk's his guy. So I think he's just kind of filling out the waters right now. But whether or not he's there or not, I don't feel like us evaluating or saying that the offensive line has to be 100% the best line in the world. I feel like we just have to get a couple seconds, and from there, give it to our offensive weapons, and we'll see what they can do. Guys, I'm really excited about this season. Can I get both of you guys' predictions? I'll tell you mine first before, there's 18 games now. Ty, you said 20-0. I really feel like the only two games that we have a potential chance of losing is against the Rams and the Seahawks. Now I'm going to say they're both home games that we lose. So, what is that? 15-2, 16-2. That's my prediction right now. The Seahawks and the Rams are the two games at home that I feel like we could take an L at. David, what's your thoughts?
Well, I look at our divisional games and playing. I think I literally need to look up our schedule because I think we play our division opponents at least two times in that first 4 games.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're showing the preseason. I don't care about the preseason.
We play just off the top of my head, we play the Seahawks, then we play the Saints, do we play the Cardinals, and then
that's right.
I'm not sure who
and
we
the
play
Jags.
Yeah.
So I look at
Jags,
the Cardinals
okay.
like they're always pesky. The Cardinals are always pesky, but they're still working on building their defense, and they're at San Francisco, so that's a winnable game right there. At Seattle, week one is chaos and mayhem, buddy. You remember that Bears game a few years ago, right?
That's like a downpour.
Hey. Week
we
one is chaos.
Way too much.
Week one is chaos and mayhem. I think this game could go both ways. Week one. The Saints, Derek Carr just retired. Who's going to be their QB? Kobe Heiner, Spencer Rattler, or Tyler Shaw?
He's going to be
the rookie.
It's going to be
3 guys that have not even the most experienced guy is in his 3rd season and doesn't have many starts. Then of course we got Sunshine, but Sunshine's coming to Frisco. So instead of us going there, he's got to come here. And I feel like that's a winnable game because the Jags are a team in flux. All right.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're kind of they just got rid of Trent Baalke. They're trying to move on from what he's done, and that's going to take a few years. Let's be honest. We've got the Rams, man, at LA. You know, we got it's at Levi's Inglewood.
South.
But and
the home game.
Yeah, that's their division rival. They're a young and hungry football team, but we just got young and hungry. So I honestly look at that like it's going to be a knockdown, drag out fight. You know, hopefully we walk out of there with that one, but that could be a loss. I honestly think that could be a loss, which would make 4 in a row. Oh, okay. I don't want that to happen. I'm about to throw up in my mouth here. The Buccaneers going over to Tampa Bay to play against Baker Mayfield. I think that's going to be a tougher game than we think because that's a veteran football team right there. You know, so are we. We still got our vets. It's not like we stopped, right? And then, you know, the Falcons, you never know what the hell they're going to do. The Texans, DeMeco Ryans, I think that might be an L just because DeMeco Ryans knows the system.
Kyle knows his too. Goes both ways.
True. That's true. That does. Then we play the Giants with their defensive ends versus, you know, if Trent Williams is playing, we're going to need that guy we signed, Farrell, to come in and help out McKivitz because he's going to have issues with Abdul Carter or Brian Burns or Thibodeau. They have quite the defensive end group there now. But, I mean, the rest of these games, they're all winnable games. All of them. They're all winnable games. But I just look at the Texans, the Bucks, the Rams, and the Seahawks week 1 like that. Those are all going to be problems, buddy.
Yeah, at least four strong games. The Texans always seem to play us tough. Preseason or regular season, we don't have necessarily the favorite. There's years they've really gutted us and ran the score up on us on some games. The Texans. The Seahawks and the Rams, those are both, you know, always formidable games. I'm not so afraid of the Cardinals. That could be a pesky game, you know, one of those spooky games. But as far as you know, it's going to be the Texans and the Buccaneers because Baker Mayfield, you know, whether or not people like him or not, we may or may not have signed him, and that's fine. We could have. I don't know. You know, he's not the worst quarterback in the world. He's got an attitude, and sometimes that fiery inside, you know, like that Steve Young, you know, winner take all Brett Favre mentality isn't a bad thing. You put the right players around him and look out, right? So I definitely see us at least, you know, 4 losses. That could really be the worst of our season. Really, really, truly.
Honestly, I look at it like this is the absolute floor. Like it takes this team a minute to gel. This is the floor. 11-6 because there's actually only 17 games still. But
yep.
But I think it's going to be more along the Steve-O's range with the 12 to 13 wins here.
I do miss Tabor Pepper. I don't really know if he was truly the fallout guy. You know, the reason Jake Moody was missing kicks, you know, I know that was a bad look to get into a fight with one of the star premier players on the team.
He didn't get into a fight with him.
Well, you know, Debo and him got into a scuffle on the sidelines. He stood up for his kicker. And, you know, sometimes when you want to, in the past, the 49ers seem to get rid of problem players. T.O. was starting to be a problem in the locker room. Who was our other guy back in the 90s, number 94? I'm blanking on his name.
Charles Haley.
Thank you. He was a problem. We let him go. Romanowski became a problem. The 49ers let him go. Antoine Bolden, great player. Antonio Bryant is the player I was thinking of. Really good 49er, number 81, but he had a DUI. Niners let him go right after.
Yeah.
One of those things, and that's why it's like I really feel like that's one of the reasons the Niners didn't go after Mac Jones to begin with, because he had, I believe he had a DUI. I believe he had a beer belly. The Niners don't like that kind of media. They don't like that kind of, attention. So let's just, the Niners like to have clean players, like with clean resumes and clean backgrounds, right? So it is. But, for right now, the Niners need to focus on themselves, and they need to move forward. We have a good chance to run the table this year. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm talking to David. Ty, I'll talk to you as well. We'll see if there's a game we can make it to together and go from there. I'm not opposed to nosebleed seats. I just want to be there. You know what I mean? This season can be really magical. And if anybody has an opportunity to make it, go to it.
Dang, Tommy.
Top 10-7, maybe. I miss Dante Johnson. He's a good
the Rams killer. That dude.
It's my guy, Dante Johnson.
He would. Dante
Man,
Johnson
do it
would
all.
destroy the Rams. It doesn't matter.
When do you think Mustafa's coming back, guys? When's he coming back? Because he's hurt right now, right?
Say that again.
He is hurt. He's gonna. It's a yet to be seen thing. He's more than likely not going to be ready at the beginning of the season. So it's going to be like Jair Brown and maybe the rookie, maybe one of the veterans they signed.
Malik Mustafa. Okay.
Yeah, Mustafa. I like Mustafa. One, he was really like one of those players that, we need people to attack. We need people who aren't afraid to tackle. And I feel like that was one of those things we were missing like maybe 2 years ago. And with Mustafa last year, he seemed to be more aggressive. We don't need to, man, it's really weird. Like every year we seem to go after a defensive lineman. We seem to go after a defensive lineman and we haven't hit, or we haven't like got a good one every year. But every year you can almost put your last dollar down on the table and say our number one draft pick is going to be a defensive edge, defensive lineman. That's what it's going to be. We know we need an offensive lineman. We might need a quarterback. We might need a wide, but we're going to get a defensive edge or defensive lineman, and it's all the same thing, right? Because the guy that we got can play inside or outside, right? It's the same thing. So,
well, Bryant, I actually looked at that when me and Ty did like before the draft, and it was a 50%. Like our first pick in the draft, no matter what round, where it was 50% of it of the players we picked were defensive linemen, defense edge, and just a defensive lineman. And now it's above 50% because we got Mikael Williams. So,
All right. I don't know how much longer you guys want to go, but your final thoughts, maybe.
Ty, do you have another show tonight? I didn't see anything come up in my inbox here.
Nope.
Okay.
All right. So then my last question for you guys, and then I'm all yours if you have any questions for me. I'm not very, but anyways, we'll go from there. How do you feel about special teams? Primarily, Jake Moody, is his job to lose? Is the new kickers coming in to push him? Or do you really feel like the fan base really wants him gone and we should move on? Ty.
The fan base wants him gone for sure because they only look at the second half of his season last year and they totally ignore the first half. Just recency bias. It's just what people do. Okay? So, I don't know, from hearing Brent Boyer talk the other day, it seems like he's high on Jake. They're probably high on Jake inside the building. And deservedly so. He's a good kicker. Despite the narrative, he's a good kicker. If you look at last year, it was a tale of two seasons. It was pre-injury and post-injury. Pre-injury, he missed one kick. He was basically automatic. He bailed us out in week 1. People forget about that. He won us that game, but no one wants to acknowledge that. No. They only want to talk about him post-injury. Now we had the opportunity to speak with Larry Kruger, and Larry told us, hey, I spoke to Jake Moody, and Jake Moody told me he was never healthy. So they brought him back unhealthy, and he's the part of his body that's injured he has to use to do his job. So of course things went bad. Not to mention, I've seen so much on this, and I've talked to people, and like I've heard like ex-kickers in the NFL, like, oh man, look at the holder. He's holding the ball not straight. It's leaning left. It's leaning right. The snap was off.
That's why they blame Tabor Pepper. Yeah.
But it's not just Pepper. It was that bootleg punter that we had when he was holding the ball. Like the laces weren't spun. He was tilting the ball left and right. It was little things like that. The whole mechanics of the kicking operation was off. So, like, but no one talks about that. But so everything just went bad in the kicking game last year. So for Moody himself, kicking injured, it's like Brock with his elbow. If he never got it repaired, and we said, hey Brock, just keep throwing, it wouldn't have worked. Well, Moody was kicking on a bad ankle. It didn't work. That to me, that's bad coaching. That's bad on the team.
Why would they just put him on IR for the whole year? I don't feel like that would.
That's what I'm saying. We had a kicker in place. Why rush the guy back? It made no sense.
We had multiple kickers, right? Because the kicker that we had in place, we got Moody back, and then we had another kicker or something like that. I understand. So it's like, if you like the guy that's replacing Moody right now, just let him heal up the entire year. You're not really saving a roster spot. Oh, we're going to be able to use it, for a linebacker later on in the year. But, no, just you drafted Moody. He's whether or not people like me for saying this, but he's the franchise kicker at this point. We want him to do good. We invested in him. He got hurt for making a tackle to save a freaking touchdown.
Exactly. People don't talk about that either.
I mean,
they totally talk about that either.
But these people, they get into their moods. They get all moody about it, right? And they're not. I almost want to say at the point they're not faithful. They don't understand. This dude is, blood, sweat, and tears, right? He's trying to go the distance to save the team. So, David, your thoughts about Moody? Is he kicking his last days in San Francisco, Santa Clara?
Well, hold up. Before you go, David, let me finish up because I kind of went on a little roundabout rant.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I think Brent Boyer coming in fresh. I think he does want to see some other kickers and try to get this thing right. But for right now, for me, it's Jake Moody's job to lose because he's the incumbent. But let the best man win. It's an open competition. They got guys there. Put them all through the paces, and let's see who comes out on top.
That needs to be clipped, snipped, and reposted on YouTube. That is the best definition of Jake Moody at this point. And let's go Niners.
Yeah.
Best player available. Best player man up. Right, David. Your thoughts, Jake Moody.
David, what do you think? Yeah.
So at this point, I could tell kicking the last half of the season that his injury wasn't right. Okay. It wasn't necessarily a bad hold. It was, his foot wasn't right. And should the Niners have brought him back? Probably not. At that point, at that point, the Niners had gone through 3 kickers?
Yeah.
Because of how poor our special teams coverage unit was and the guys trying to make a tackle. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Our punter too.
Mm-hmm.
So all this happened, and they bring in 2 kickers to compete with them, a rookie and a veteran. The veterans, I've looked at his numbers. He's not that great, but he's still veteran presence.
Yeah.
And yes, I believe they brought these guys in to push Moody, so he'll make himself better. Right. We have spent this whole offseason pretty much revamping our special teams unit. You know,
it's been a priority.
That's something I was saying needed to be done towards the end of last year. I was saying, like, it don't even just need to be the coach. It needs to be a lot of personnel changeover.
Yeah.
And we've seen that happen. They've brought in guys that can take good angles, guys that can tackle. I don't think our kickers are going to be trying to make many tackles this year.
Heck no, they shouldn't be.
So, you know, and Jake Moody, it's 100% his job to lose. 100% his job to lose. And, you know, and will these other guys be better than him? I kind of doubt it. I seriously doubt it. You know, it'll be, we're going into his third season, right?
Is it
so now we're going to see what Jake Moody's going to be.
Is the other kicker's name Jake Joseph? I believe I'm correct. He's been on what? The Giants, the Jets, the Packers.
2 teams last year, so he's one of those guys.
He's one of those guys. So you've been on all these different teams. Like you're like what, the Village Bicycle. Everybody's taking a turn at you. Jake Moody is farm fed, right? Homegrown, right? We believe in this guy. So we just need to put somebody else out there so we can make sure that this guy has this confidence and is the guy that we believe in. He is a Sebastian Janikowski. Sebastian Janikowski was that guy. And if you ever seen Porky Pig, you can imagine him in the helmet, right? That is Sebastian Janikowski. And I don't think, you know, Jake Moody is Porky Pig, but I'm just saying the 49ers have a good kicker. And fans need to get out of their moods. Or we can just go ahead and move off of the Moody experience and get a guy with 2 first names, Jacob Joseph. All right. I'm going to leave it with that, guys. It's been a great show. I love both of you. I hope to be back next time. And,
all right.
Man, I tell you what, 49ers Coast to Coast is still around. David, congratulations on the 200 subscribers.
All right, brother.
Please keep
finally.
Everybody who's watching, please share, subscribe, tell a friend. Ty, your channel is blowing up as well. Stay Faithful Podcast. Everybody, please subscribe to that as well. And for me, if you guys see my name, you know, I'm doing things here and there, and I'm still alive and I'm grinding. So, folks, you know, that's it. But David, Ty, if you have any other questions for me, I'm here. But with that, guys, I'm super excited about this team.
You got every reason to be, man. I think it's going to be a very exciting year.
Young and hungry.
There you go.
Young and hungry.
Tommy Huxley is the camel with 2 humps. Everybody remember that. So when you see him in the chat, make sure you message. And there is an emoji that has a camel with 2 humps. So make sure you post that because he likes that. So
all right.
That's right. He's the camel with 2 humps. He's not the goat.
No, he's a camel.
That's what he was telling people back in the day when they were telling him that. So, folks, everybody, don't forget to tune in to Corey Davis 49er Wednesday, where I don't actually have a subject yet. Me and Kenny got to get debating here so we can come up with one.
Get it going.
But that's literally been the subject the last 2 weeks. Me and him start debating, and I'm like, save it. Do this live on YouTube.
Uh-huh. There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
So, and East Coast Red and Gold on Wednesday. Ty will be on.
8 p.m. Eastern. So, come join us. 5 Pacific, 6 Mountain.
That's right.
7 Central.
And I'm actually doing a fantasy football draft
standard time.
Thursday. Yeah, same time every week, folks. Every
week.
I'm doing a fantasy football draft on the Power 32 podcast on Thursday.
Nice.
So I guess I'll be playing in a league this year. I haven't played fantasy football in an incredibly long time.
Oh, you're gonna have so much fun.
I am actually going to be doing research right after this on not necessarily who I'm picking, but that's exactly. I already know what I'm going for, Like number one, the top 3 contestants for Madden, not picking them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Anybody that has a chance at making the Madden cover is not going to be on my
Yeah.
fantasy football team.
don't go for the
So, all right, folks, don't forget to tune
All right.
in. I'll be on. And, as Corey Davis says, go 49ers and F all 31 other teams.